Hello, and happy Valentine's Day.
Hey, everybody. Welcome to the Jailhouse Informant podcast, episode 2. We're having a little bit of issues with our mic earlier, so if somebody could just pop on real quick and just let us know if you can hear us okay, we'd greatly appreciate that. So we've got a few people watching. So thank you for joining us tonight.
Yeah, we've actually got a really special show. Got our first guest with us tonight. We're really excited about that and really excited that you guys are taking your Valentine's Day to tune in with us and fall in love with some history and share some stories about the historic Scott County Jail. So thank you guys. We got Robert and Susan on here. Thank you for confirming our sound. Being in an old building and trying to kind of get the setup and everything just right, it's a little challenging.
It is. But so we've had a great week. We hope y'all have had a great week as well. As Miranda said, happy Valentine's Day from the historic Scott County Jail. Things were really exciting for us this week. As most of you know, we're doing our Fall in Love with History here for the month of February. So we've had some really great flashlight tours that come in and kind of tour what we call the Crimes of Passion flashlight tour. So we've been having a lot of fun with those. A lot of great people have come out and tried to see the jail via flashlight. So it's a lot of fun.
Yeah, and I mean, we've got a lot of feedback on those tours, and everyone seems to really enjoy them. There's no better way. It's a personalized tour. We keep the group small. We keep them for the flashlight tours. We keep them 8 or less, and we go through the jail. We share the actual history of the jail. We do it by flashlight, and then we kind of tell a little bit of the darker, creepier side. And then, of course, for these specific months, we're trying to tailor those so that you'll come back and hear some different stories. And so February's been a pretty interesting month with some of the stories we've had.
Yeah, it has been. Like I said, we themed this one Crimes of Passion. And by that, we mean crimes that were motivated by some type of internal passion, like jealousy or money or power or authority or love. So we've been having a lot of fun just highlighting those and getting, people the chance to really see some of Scott County history.
Yeah, so we do still have tickets left on some of those. Those are Friday, Saturday, and Sunday nights during the month of February. So we got 2 more weekends left, and we do have a few tickets available. But we encourage you to get on there and get them fast, because those are going kind of quick. We do sell them the day of the tour, but only up until 4 p.m. when we close for our general admission. We don't. You can't buy them at the door at the time of the tour. So definitely want to check that out. And, I know we do a little mini, we have a public ghost hunt that we do, but we give people a taste on the flashlight tours. When we go upstairs to the 3rd floor, we kind of give you a little taste of what we do on the ghost hunt. So it's pretty active there as well this weekend.
Yeah. We've had some interesting things happen. Just about 20 minutes before we went live here tonight, something crashed pretty mightily from the 2nd story. We ran up there with some flashlights, couldn't figure out what it was, but it definitely kind of woke us up a little bit tonight. So it's been a lot of fun, and it's interesting. We've got some people on here from Minnesota, from Georgia, from Colorado, from Tennessee, obviously. So again, thank you all for joining. We're really excited about tonight. As Miranda said, we've got our first guest, and we actually had to pre-record with Mayor Jeffers because he wasn't available to come in studio tonight live. But we think you're really going to enjoy the interview that we did with Mayor Jeffers tonight.
Yeah, so we'll get right to that here in just a few minutes. Any other news or anything coming up from here? We have a public ghost hunt at the end of the month. Tickets are sold out on that, but we do customize dates. Mm-hmm. If you and your group, if you don't see the date on there for the public ghost hunt and you would like to bring people, we do narrow those down from 6 or less. So if you would like to take a ghost hunt, that's a 3-hour tour here with myself and Dr. Sumner. Give us a call at 423-663-5353, and we can look at the calendar and actually customize a private ghost hunt for you as well. So we had a private team here this weekend. Outlaw Paranormal from Northeast Tennessee came all the way down with special guest Raven. They came, spent the evening at the jail on Saturday night. It was a pretty active night for them. I know they did live streams from here. So definitely, I think they did 3 or 4. So go check out their page. in the future, we're going to start having some teams come on with some different segments talking about some of the activity and such. But yeah, very active weekend.
Yeah, absolutely. We already got some questions coming up here. So, Steve, the paranormal research study is going very well. As most of you know, we are involved in a paranormal research study here. We'll go over that a little bit later before we end the show tonight. So, Steve, it is going very well. We're really excited with that. Jim, the shadow figure pictures has really been blowing people away. It's one of those things, we tried to debunk it several times. We just cannot do it. And so for us, it was extremely interesting. We had a couple of psychic mediums on saying what they felt the picture represented. So that was pretty cool to get their feedback on that. And it's just one of those pieces of evidence that, again, we just can't explain. We have no idea what caused it. I mean, we do believe, since we've seen shadow figures here ourselves, that it was captured on camera there. So for us, it was just a really interesting capture by somebody who just came and enjoyed the flashlight tour.
Yeah, and something we can do, because we do really go in. We take these claims very seriously, and so we go in. Of course, we were there when these were captured. But when someone sends us pictures, or if we're in a situation where we captured ourselves, we actually run the pictures through a lot of different photo tests. The photos that you see online, those are the actual photos. We don't want to go in, doctor them, or anything like that. But something we can do, because it is pretty interesting results, we can lighten them and run it through our tests that we've done and share that here on the podcast, just to show. Like I said, we don't post them just because we don't want, to post anything that's altered out there.
Right.
So yeah, that's something we could definitely do, because it was pretty interesting results. But yeah, we'll go ahead. I think we should probably go ahead and get to the interview here. Yeah. Like Dr. Sumner said, we did have to pre-record that. So after the live, or excuse me, after the interview, don't leave, because we do still have a whole lot of the show left after the interview. And, if you have any questions or anything from the interview, we'll be monitoring the comments over here, and we'll be pulling those up. So definitely don't leave, because we do have a lot more of the show to go.
All right. So we hope you enjoy our interview with Mayor Dennis Jeffers of the Town of Huntsville. So we're here with Mayor Dennis Jeffers of Huntsville, Tennessee, and we're just going to talk to him a little bit about the jail and his relationship to it, and kind of how Huntsville acquired it from Scott County. So, Mayor, welcome.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
Absolutely. So, kind of tell us about the history of the jail from your perspective.
The history of the jail, from my perspective, it's been here ever since I've been here, since before me. But it never was really interesting to me until later in life. And as my life goes, my whole family had interactions with here, both good and bad. I had some family that were sheriff, two different. I had a great grandfather that was sheriff here, Esau Laxton. And I had a great uncle that was sheriff here 2 or 3 different times, Jack Laxton. But my mother learned to cook here as a teenager. And I've got some other family members that had other time here, as well as most of the people in Scott County. But it is probably the single most historic building in our county, I think. And, it's, as I became mayor, it kind of grew on me a little bit. I saw the importance of trying to salvage it. But I became mayor in 2016, at the end of 2016, and at that time, it was pretty close to in disrepair then. And it had sat here for almost 10 years at that time. And I still never really thought about it, other than a lot of people were interested. The county was trying to get rid of it. It was a burden to them. They didn't have a plan for it. They were using it for storage. It had just got to a place where it couldn't be fixed, they thought. So they were looking to sell it. And I started sitting back and looking at some of the people that's interested in buying it and their intentions with it and what they wanted to do. And it just really didn't sit well with me. So in the end, I come to the realization the board agreed with me that it's in Huntsville. It's a part of our county history, not only in the city of Huntsville, but this is our county history. So we need to try to do something to salvage it. So not even having a plan with it after we acquired it, I approached the county commission and told them, listen, we don't have a big money-making scam to make here. We're not trying to make a buck. We want to restore it, to preserve it.
Okay.
And that was our whole intention. Now, all that being said, in the meantime, I always had in the back of my mind, I wanted this building to be able to sustain itself. I didn't want it to be a burden on the taxpayers. So we were looking at creative ways to utilize this building. All that being said, we don't have the manpower to do that. So we needed to find somebody that we trusted, somebody that did have a plan, that wanted to utilize it, to maintain the historical value of it. And that's where you guys came in. Okay. So I can say this on here. You guys were a big hit with the board. You were very, very organized, very detailed, but more than anything, what really shone was your passion for the history. And not only that, but for this old building. Of course, Brad's from here.
Yeah.
You're not.
I'm not.
It's gotten to a place now where it doesn't cost the townspeople anything. And I know it's in good hands. So we don't come over here and check up on anything. This is a good agreement for us. And so far, I think it's going to be great for you guys too. So that's just a little bit of where we come in. All we did was try to save the building. We had a $75,000 tourism grant. So we wanted to do something with tourism, but we didn't really necessarily want it to be side by side.
Right. Exactly. Yeah.
The side by side business has inundated Huntsville, and it's good. It brings in a few dollars, but we didn't want to do that in particular. So we spent the money. We put new windows in, new heat, new air. We did a lot of painting, a lot of cleaning. We spent a lot of rainy days in here before we got the tourism grant. But I'm sure it's not a finished product yet. You guys work on it on a daily basis.
We do.
But it is something to really go through and look at now. Not only with what you do with the paranormal studies, but the historical value. You can stand in one room and look at pictures and read to your little heart's content.
Exactly.
And learn a lot about Scott County's history. So in short, I think it's been a no-brainer ever since we've entered into this agreement with you guys. We've been very, very pleased. So
Thank you.
Thanks. Yeah, it's been a great agreement, and we've been, just having a ball working in the jail and really kind of bringing that history to life. So just to backtrack just a little bit. So how did your mom become the cook here?
My mother, of course, my great uncle, which would have been my grandmother's, would have been my mother's uncle, was the sheriff here, Jack Laxton.
Okay.
And she was 16 years old. And after school, she would come over and help Alma, which was Jack's. Now, you have to remember, back then in those days, the family mostly lived here. So the cook for the family, as well as the prisoners, was the sheriff's wife. And she cooked in this room right to my right back here where the dumbwaiter was. And I remember my mother telling me at 16, Alma taught her how to make, how should I say this? Bulk gravy. Not in a skillet like everybody makes, but you have to make enough for everybody upstairs too.
Right.
So she said that's where she learned to make that at. But she spent a lot of her childhood, and I say childhood, teenage years, working in the jail after school, after the 3-on-3 basketball practice. That's how long ago that was. But like I say, I've had a great uncle that was sheriff here, and my great grandfather was sheriff here 2 or 3 different times. So we won't get into the rest of the family, their ties.
Yeah, that seems to be kind of a common story that we're hearing from people that grew up here in the jail, that their friends would talk about coming here. We've had some people talk about learning to color Easter eggs and just spending time here at the jail with the families that were living here at the jail.
Sure. And there's something that you really need to understand about Scott County. We've really developed a population boom here in the county recently. Geographically, Scott County is very large, but there's only 22,000 people in this county.
Okay.
So at any given time, there's been people that's had interaction in this old building just because of the simple fact that there's not a lot of people here, which makes it a great place to live as far as I'm concerned.
Right.
We're kind of tucked away here. We kind of do our thing and live right and try to do the best we can. And pretty much people leave us alone. But with 22,000 people, at some point in time, you're going to come through this building, to this building, work in this building, unfortunately be drove to this building, up until about 2007. So
you were talking about the tourism grant. So did you write that? How did that
that came through the Chamber of Commerce. Stacy Swan actually wrote that for us. And at that time, we were still kind of in negotiations with the county on what all we wanted to do with it. But like I said, we didn't know what we wanted to do with it, but we did know that we wanted to renovate it to preserve it. Okay. So she was good enough to write the grant. It was a $75,000 tourism grant, which was a grant that was open at that time. And they went crazy about it in Nashville. Yes, we want you guys to have that. So basically, it really, we could earmark all of the money to renovate this building with the hopes and intentions of something like what you guys are doing would happen. And it is tourism. I mean, a lot of your guys' businesses are from outside of this county, which is great. So that's money that would not be here without you guys and this building. And that's also structure and stability for this whole building itself. It's been taken care of and maintained, and it's been utilized for what we fixed it for. So.
Yeah, and that was something I know that was really important to both Christy and I when we were discussing doing this and putting our plan together, was most importantly, putting a location together, making it accessible for the community, and having somewhere that we can really share the Scott County history and make it where folks can come in and tour the location.
Right. Well, this old building is on a lot of business cards, postcards. So, I mean, like I say, there's really not a more historic building in this county. If there is, I don't know of it. You can almost, actually, you can talk about the old Scott County Jail. Is that the old stone one over behind the courthouse? They all know it. They've all seen it, or they've heard about it. But even before we acquired this building, you could still come through here and there would be people taking wedding pictures outside of it. Just gotten married in tuxedos and wedding dresses and prom pictures. Man, they line up to get prom pictures here. But I mean, there's always been an attraction, a draw to this old building.
Yeah.
Aesthetically, it's beautiful to look at. Even though it's old, they don't build things like this anymore.
Right.
And to be honest with you, when I first, there was one of my constituents that actually mentioned, why don't you go get the jail? The county's going to let it rot. And I was like, we got so many irons in the fire. I really don't want to. And then I started seeing the people that were interested in it. And I didn't know what the future held for it.
Right.
So we just decided, the more I thought about it, it's not only something that's beneficial to us, but I think it's our obligation.
Right.
We need to try to do that. And fortunately, the county commission agreed. There's a lot of them. There's 14 of them, but every one of the commissioners were in favor of this. I don't know that I've ever seen a vote that was unanimous like that on anything with the county commission.
Oh, fantastic.
So, but they saw that we were genuine with our wants, and they had already rejected a lot of offers, monetary offers. And they basically gave it to us. So we've been left in control of it, and we're going to take care of it. And you guys are doing better on your own than I ever could. So that's just the way it works.
Yeah. And the thing that's really neat about it is if you haven't seen it, it's definitely an iconic building, right? So aside from just the historical function of it, the fact that it's shaped like this castle, in the middle of Tennessee is kind of interesting.
Yeah. Well, the top of it, I was a little bit frustrated. When we first come in here, I said, I want to go up on the roof because I always thought that it looked like a place where a guard or something would walk. You've got things to hide behind and shoot from, but there's no access to it.
No access.
I thought that's a bummer. I even went as far as to say we need an access hole up there. We need to be able to. But the only way up there is a bucket truck. I can't help it.
Yeah, we wanted access up there too. It'd be
I bet.
Just to hang Christmas lights would be great.
Yeah.
So what are some of the stories around some of the prisoners that you remember? You were talking about people come and take prom pictures. We actually got some pictures from the relatives of Robert Goad, who was one of the trustees here, but he was here for 15 years.
Yeah.
And his daughter came and took prom pictures here in the jail with him when he was incarcerated here. So those are just some interesting stories that you really don't hear about from other jails.
No. And being here in Scott County, there were a lot of guys that served long-term sentences here without going to the state penitentiary. So there was a lot of family interaction. There was a lot of family visit time out here in the courtyard and in the local area. Of course, now the trustees had a little more of a run than the regular guys on the third floor, but they still had a life. They still had visitors and they still had people to come. And now, if you get more than 1129, you go to the state pen just about. But I don't know how true it is anymore. But here, when they were limited, I mean, you had guys that spent years here.
I was going to ask what the average sentence that you're aware of.
Oh, I don't know. I don't know. Being as it was so small, but now we have to go back to the population of Scott County. 35, 40 prisoners was full.
Right.
Okay. But when you've only got probably at that time 15, 16,000 people, percentage wise, it's not that much. So, but like I say, a lot of the people, as long as they had room, they stayed here. So, but now as far as sentences, I don't know. That's your guys' job. That's research.
Yeah, we're trying to figure it out for sure. Another interesting thing that I've noticed since kind of working here is your great uncle Jack Laxton.
Yes.
Yeah. So it's interesting that you have these administrations that kind of leapfrog each other, right? So you got Jack Laxton serving a term and then leapfrogging to another sheriff, then back to Jack Laxton, and it's kind of interesting how that happens.
The thing that I'll tell you, before him, it was Esau, but they were different, and that would have been my great grandfather. That'd have been Jack's father. But it's kind of interesting because then it was 2-year terms. It wasn't a 4-year term. So you've got 2 years, and holding a county office is very difficult to hold, especially when you're arresting Junior or Mom or Grandpa. So there was a lot of changeover. You may be sheriff for 2 years and you may be out for 2 years and back, or you may be out 4 years or in 4 years and out 2 years. So there was different time frames there, and it switched a lot. So back 2-year terms, there was a lot of that. Jack was sheriff more than once.
Right.
Okay. Esau was sheriff more than once.
Right.
But the guys, you'll have to realize, Dorsey Rosser and some of those guys, they were sheriff more than once.
Right.
So, I mean, it's not just them. The people of Scott County get aggravated and you're voted out of a job for a couple of years anyway. But they climb right back in. And by that time, the sheriff that beat them got in trouble or got enough people mad at them. So they come right back. So that wasn't out of the.
Yeah. It's extremely interesting. Like I said, some of the things that we've been researching, it's very interesting, again, to realize how connected people were just to this one building, right?
Yes.
To your point earlier, you were either an inmate here or your family member was, or you were jailer, or,
you worked
there was
here.
some connection.
Yes.
And I know Miranda was actually telling us some stories about they would have the prisoner parade that would walk from here to the courthouse. That you could sit in the restaurant and watch when they went from here to the courthouse for their court hearing.
I can remember, yes, several of the inmates. They would march them to the courtroom, which was right up here. They would be bound, shackled. There would be a guard or two, armed guards. Now, they didn't just walk beside you with their hands in their pockets. There was one behind you, one in front of you, and one on each side of you. then depending on what you done, the more guards you had.
Right.
So, but yes, that was, they would take you up there for your arraignment. You walk through these doors right here, right straight up the courthouse, into the courtroom, and right back you came. So I don't remember seeing that, but I remember in the papers, the newspapers, whenever anybody was arraigned, that was the picture that you got.
Yeah, marching
Bound and going to the courtroom.
Yeah.
So what is, like I said, what are some just different stories in your mind that you remember kind of growing up that?
Well, there's so many. Of course, a lot of them have to do with my family. But there's so many historical things that have happened here, so many stories, so many things that have played out. You know, you have the Jerome Boyd story. You have so many things that's happened here. Everybody has a different take on it, and depending on who's, and that's where you get back into Scott County. It's small.
Right.
So it depends on which family you ask as to what happened and who caused it, and was there this behind it, or was that behind it?
Well, as far as, you know, from our research, and I think this was some of the research that we had gotten from you as well, the original jail was an overturned wagon. Was there ever another holding building?
I do not know. I do not know. And I just found out about the wagon after we acquired this jail.
Okay.
They actually turned a wagon upside down and would put people under it until they had a place to put them. I do not know if they had another holding facility.
Well, we've had more stories about, because there have been 7 inmates who have been taken out of here, and we're finding that other than the one that was executed by the state, they were all essentially taken out, kind of like Jerome Boyd. So we were trying to find more research on the maybe a holding location or anything before. We had a lady actually call from Knoxville asking, her relatives were taken out of here in 1898, I believe. Of course, the jail wasn't built till 1904.
Right.
So
I don't know. But, yeah, it's a little before my time. But I don't know. I will tell you that people are pretty creative.
Yeah.
So I mean, I don't know.
Especially here,
There could have been a cave somewhere with something. I don't know. But I would be very interested to find out what they did before this building.
that's one of the goals that we're trying to find more information on that specifically, because she did state the court records said that he was drug out of the jail, and so from what we found, it was an overturned wagon. So.
Cool.
Yeah, there you go. Snuck him out the back flap of the wagon.
Yeah.
So I think that's what is so really endearing about you in the story, is because, you know, you do have that passion for the historical significance of not just the jail, but the county in general.
Well,
And that, I think that's why this whole project just really resonates with both of us because of that.
well, this, and like I say, there's a lot of people that couldn't live here. When I got married 32 years ago, almost 32 years ago, we moved away from here for 3 years to Rockford, Illinois.
Okay.
And we realized that we were a fish without a water.
Yeah.
And we were not close to home. We were in the suburb of Chicago, Illinois, and we missed our home. Now, as a youngster growing up here, I can't wait to get out of this place. There's nothing here. There's nothing to do. There's nothing you're going to do but get in trouble. That's what makes this place so special. Is it's a good place to raise your family. It's a safe place. Now, I'm not saying that you can still leave your doors unlocked, but if you forgot, it would probably be okay. But there's just so much about this little town in general and this county that's special to me. This will always be home to me. And unless the Lord ever showed me some other place, this is where I'll be. And I think he's put me in this situation, this position, to try to do better, to try to say, you know, you do your wild thing out there. We're going to live right here. We're going to try to do our best here. So I don't know.
Yeah.
But this will always be home to me. There's things that we're challenged here with. Industry a little bit. Education is coming. You know, infrastructure, we're there.
Yeah.
But the one thing that we're not challenged with is our heritage. and our history and our love for where we live.
Mhm.
And if you challenge that now, I'm not so friendly anymore. I'm pretty easygoing.
Yeah.
I'm really easy to get along with. But if you want to tick me off, just say something about where I live,
Mhm.
because it's special to me.
Yeah.
It's where my family makes its living. It's where we've been raised and we've grown up. And that's just the way it is. And I think if everybody, not just in politics, I'm not a politician. I don't want to be a politician.
Right.
But if our politicians had that much love for what they've done, they would be so much more effective
Mhm.
at their job other than a paycheck.
Yeah.
So that's where I try to come at it every day to try to make a difference for the positive.
Right.
Sometimes it don't work out that way, but for the most part, it does.
Yeah. Very cool.
Yeah, and we find, because I know we travel all the time, and we find anytime we're talking about the historic Scott County Jail, it's not uncommon for people to reach out and say, oh, I have family from up there, or I know that place, or I lived there for so long. The pride in the community and the pride in the history is something that I always notice.
Mhm.
I mean, I have it myself being from here, but when we talk to people, you can truly see it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's real. And there's a lot of people now more than ever in the last 4 years, as yourself,
Mhm.
transplants.
Yeah.
They're tired. They're not satisfied with where they live anymore. And I'm not just singling you out.
Right. Yeah. No.
I'm just saying, I'm talking about from Oregon, the
Yeah.
gathered coffee people.
Right.
Yes.
They moved here because they were tired of the far left.
Mm-hmm.
His very words to me, we had to get away from those crazy people.
Right.
And they settled here.
Mhm.
And there's people settling here from Indiana, Virginia,
Florida.
West Virginia, Florida. A lot of people from Florida,
Yeah.
more than you.
Yeah.
But we're seeing it every day. And I get calls at my office. We're looking for property.
Mhm.
We're looking for property. Well, we've got plenty of property.
Yeah.
Yeah. In fact, over the last 6 months since we've been opened, 90% of the people who come in are tourists or people who are moving here. I can't tell you how many people have come in and they either take a tour or they say, we're moving down here next month and we've seen this building and we wanted to come by.
Mhm.
And they talk about just how excited they are to be moving to Scott County and spend a lot of time talking about it when they're here.
When you talk about the industry in Scott County, of course, it all started with the coal.
Mhm.
Scott County had all kinds of coal. Every mountain was loaded. When the coal boom was over, it kind of dried up some. And then we started with the timber because that's another natural resource that we were blessed with, and they're still cutting the timber. But as we start seeing that, and don't get me wrong, there's still a strong timber industry here. But what you really have to do in each area has to figure out, what do I have
Right.
that nobody else has? Well, the one thing that we always have and we've always had is just the natural beauty of this place.
Right. Exactly.
We're up here on top of the Cumberland Plateau in a little protective bowl, and it's gorgeous here.
Mhm.
And we take a lot for granted because we live here on a daily basis. But there are people that come here that don't get to see what we live in every day.
Mhm.
And once they do, they're hooked.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I worked at a place called Becker Mall of America in Clinton, Tennessee, and I was a process control engineer there. And the plant manager was a retired full bird colonel out of the Air Force. Really staunch, by the book. To make a long story short, he would come in early in the morning. I worked mostly nights
Mhm.
because I had to keep everything going while everybody else was at home. And he would come in at 4 a.m. with his cup of coffee, and he'd walk around looking, and we talked a lot.
Right.
And we got to talking about, he wanted to know where I was from, and I could tell it piqued his interest. And it went a couple of weeks later, and we were still talking, and I hadn't been there very long. And he said, I've been in all over this world. He said, being in the military, I've been to Ireland. I saw the fields wave with the wind. I've been to Vermont during the foliage. He said, my wife and I, we travel. We look for beauty.
Mhm.
And he said, right over there at the Campbell and Scott County line, We go every year.
Oh,
He said, there's nowhere that I've ever been that is more beautiful than right there.
that's
And he was serious.
Yeah.
And I was like, wow. I drive through there every day and I really don't notice.
Mhm.
You know, that's a sad thing, but it's a good thing.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
what I take for granted, other people take, you know, they take time to go and see it.
Right. Yeah.
And there's a lot of people that do that here.
Yeah.
So
I do want to ask, so because we do have a lot of paranormal people that watch the show, so have you, in your time in the jail,
let me tell you,
experienced anything that just kind of made you say, huh?
there's a lot of things that's made me say, huh? There's a couple of things that made me leave. There's all kinds of noises in here. Now bear in mind, when we first acquired this building, we've done a lot of cleaning.
Yeah.
So at the end of the day, I would always come over and see what the guys had gotten done, what they hadn't gotten done, try to get a plan for the next day. To make a long story short, this old building has creaked and groans, and I know just enough to be dangerous when it comes to the paranormal side. I will tell you that there's been some things here that I can't explain. You just showed me one a little bit ago.
Yeah. Yeah.
But all that being said, you know, you may say I'm skeptical, but there's a part of this whole building that is very, very creepy.
Yeah.
And eerie.
Mm-hmm.
And there's things that I've heard that I can't explain, and I don't even try. And there's been more times than not that I've walked out here with the goosebumps on my arms.
Yeah, high stepping a little bit.
Yeah. Not looking behind me either.
Right.
So I know enough to be dangerous as far as the paranormal, but I will tell you that I don't know everything. And the unknown is pretty spooky.
Yeah.
We're creatures of habit.
Right, exactly.
Yeah.
So if we get out of habit,
Mm-hmm.
we're just not really comfortable. Do I think that there's a possibility? Sure.
Yeah.
My Lord, we worship him in spirit and in truth.
Mm-hmm.
You know, that's the only way we can worship him. Who am I to say that there's not something here?
Right.
You know? So it is what it is. There's been a lot of things.
Yeah.
Noises, clanks, doors closing,
Yeah.
pictures. It's just one of those things.
Yeah.
I'll leave that up to you guys.
Yeah, well, we've experienced some interesting things for sure.
Yeah.
But Mayor, listen, we really appreciate you taking the time and,
Oh, not a
and
problem.
your support of what we're doing and how we're doing it. And, you know, we definitely could not have asked for a better champion with this and partner in this. So thank you.
Yes.
Well, the town is very, very pleased with what's going on here. There's never been a second thought. And for anybody out there listening to me, you guys need to come and see this for yourself. Don't take my word for it. Call these ladies, get you a booking scheduled, and come see this place. It's great. And if you want to, swing over by my office.
Yeah.
And I'll talk your leg off too.
All right, Mayor, thank you so much. We really appreciate it.
Thanks for having me.
Thank you.
All right. Well, that was our interview with Mayor Jeffers. Just a really, really good guy. Like we said on the interview, he's definitely been a champion for what we've been trying to do, and really kind of saw our vision of how we wanted to really build the museum as well as the paranormal aspect of the historic Scott County Jail.
Yeah. I mean, we couldn't ask for better support from him and the aldermen here in the town of Huntsville. I mean, they've just really stepped up and helped spread the word, and really anything we need as far as being able to function on a daily basis.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, absolutely. And kind of what he said there is true. A lot of people come and want to take the day tour, and they just really don't understand the scope of kind of what we built here. We do have a lot of articles. We do have a lot of displays articles and items on display that you can see. So if you haven't been, you need to come on out and kind of check it out, because we've got a lot going on here.
Yeah, and more to come.
Yeah, absolutely more to come.
Yeah, we're hoping we're really essentially adding things on a weekly basis. We'd just gotten, as Christy mentioned on the interview, we had just gotten some photos from one of our longest serving inmates here. And so we've got photos from that. We've got his story. And, so we're continually adding things. Don't wait to come thinking, you're going to wait till we've added it all, because we're going to essentially, we're going to keep adding. But yeah, definitely come check it out. Most people, when they come here, they spend anywhere from 30 to 45 minutes, and they don't even make it through all of the different artifacts that we have.
Mm-hmm. And for the paranormal folks, as we were watching that interview, we had our mic muted so you couldn't hear it, but there's something going on upstairs that we just cannot explain right now. We've heard a couple footsteps and another door slam. So that's kind of piqued our interest. We might have to do a little investigation after we close here tonight.
Yeah, and something I think really agreed with the mayor, because we're actually going to go back and rewatch the video, because to me that sounded like there was like a female voice.
Yeah.
When he was talking about the beauty of the area, it sounded literally like there was a woman behind us, and I couldn't remember from editing the video down if that was in the video or
if we heard it audibly here. So
yeah.
A lot of interesting things here at the jail, not the history, but also the resident spirits. So.
Yeah, and I wanted to, we've been, watching your all's comments and everything, and I'm scrolling through over here. I had seen one asking about the old Capitol Hill School, and let's see here. Yes. So Robert asks, is the school at Capitol Hill still there? To my understanding, Robert, I believe that it's been converted into a homeless shelter. It is still there, but they have converted that. So, a lot of different comments on preservation and tearing down history and that sort of thing. That is something that seems to be extremely common. And, this area is no stranger to that. I know, especially in the neighboring town of Oneida, they have a great, beautiful main street, but it is kind of off the beaten path. And so expanding the road going through Oneida, they have torn down a lot of the older buildings and such, but we're very fortunate right here in Huntsville with this building, the First National Bank building, which is the second oldest here. This one was in 1904. I believe that one was in 1909, I think, or 1908, one or the other. And so it's still here, made out of the same sandstone. So it is real unfortunate when you see that happening.
Dee Dee's comment right there.
This one?
Yeah. Do some of the past inmates have paranormal stories? Actually, yes. We've had several inmates that spent some time in here that have come in to either take the day tour or they've spoken to us outside, and they've had interesting stories. We've actually had deputies who worked here. They came in and told us their stories. We actually had one email us and say, I don't believe in the paranormal, but when I worked here, the elevator would start running on its own. We would hear footsteps running up the back stairwell. To the point that they actually called emergency head counts because they thought inmates were trying to escape. We had a woman who worked, because the dispatch was here as well. We had a woman who worked in the dispatch. She came and spoke to us after we opened, and she said one night she got on the elevator and she was by herself and something coughed in her ear, and she never rode the elevator again. So, and that's what's kind of interesting about this jail. The reports of hauntings didn't start when the jail closed. They've actually persisted from the creation of the jail up until now. So that's kind of a very interesting phenomena that we've heard about.
Yeah, and if those sounds on the stairwell were as loud as what we heard before we came on live here, I can understand why they would call emergency head counts. Yeah. Because we literally, I locked up for the day today after we closed for our general business hours. And then, of course, we came back in for the show. And I would have literally thought I'd locked someone in here. It was so loud.
It was a loud bang. Like we went, we went running upstairs because we actually thought something had fallen. And it lasted probably about 3 seconds. So it was a very interesting sound. So like I said, we may have to spend a little time here tonight after we're done.
Yeah. So we did a segment last week that, had a lot of excitement, and we got a lot of feedback on. And so this is going to be a continual segment on all of our different episodes. Let me get this keyed up here. But we were calling it, this day in the news.
Yeah, a day in the news.
A day in the
A day in the news, because not this day. We've got a bunch of newspaper, like we've got about 1,000 newspapers that were donated to us. So what we're going to do is each week we're going to randomly grab one. So it's not going to necessarily be this day, like February 14th. It's a day. We're not sure which day it is, but we're just going to randomly grab one. So today's is April 2nd from 1981.
Yeah. So.
And this is what it looks like. So what we're going to do is kind of read the headlines and some of the stories that were going on April 2nd, 1981. So the very first major headline of that day was overpass funding now virtually assured. Governor Lamar Alexander announced Wednesday that he is recommending the approval of $700,000 that's expected to provide the remaining funds necessary for the construction of the Southern Railway overpass in downtown Oneida. So according to the story, the Tibbles Flooring Company, which is the largest industry in Oneida and also the oldest industry in Oneida at that time, they wanted to expand, but they didn't have the money, all the funds necessary to build this overpass. So the employees were getting hampered by the railway, the railroad crossing there. So they had about 300 employees. They wanted to add another 300 employees, but they needed that overpass. So I guess Lamar Alexander made that happen. Because I believe the overpass was actually built.
Yes. And that's kind of an interesting picture to be with, that it looks like they really forced their way to assure with that picture.
Yeah. So the next headline after the overpass funding is.
So, like I said, kind of bear with us as we scroll through these here. Brother charged with fatal shooting. And of course, that image goes with this story. And that image is of the body of the shooting victim, Herthel Davis, and it's being removed from a residence on Ridge Road in the Crossroads community where Davis made his home. And so essentially this story, 39-year-old resident of the Crossroads community was charged with manslaughter in connection with a fatal shooting of his brother on Sunday night during an incident at the family home. The suspect was identified as Robert Davis and was taken into custody later and released on a $5,000 bond. And so the officers said that the incident occurred at the family home around 9 p.m., 4 miles northwest of Oneida, where the two brothers lived with their 83-year-old father. Officers said the father, who was blind, was seated in the living room with the two brothers when the incident occurred. And he said he heard arguing and quarreling and then heard a shot ring out. Both men had reportedly been drinking at the time, and Robert Davis told officers later, "I didn't do anything. I can't remember anything."
So, yeah, charged with the shooting of his brother, and he couldn't remember it. And then the next one is the former resident sentenced to 10 years in a traffic death of Maryville police officers. So Don Chitwood was denied his appeal. Wait, wrong one. Sorry. Lloyd Slavin, who was 23 at the time, he had reportedly moved from Oneida to Knoxville only a short time before the fatal accident occurred. He was actually drunk at the time, and he rear-ended the Maryville policeman who was on his way to a call at the time. So that was another one of the headlines on this day.
And also, we have no opinion on these stories or no connection to any of these stories, just saying that. So if anyone knows kind of the rest of the story on any of these, please feel free to reach out to us, because again, people have been arrested, they got a court date, something always happens later on. Mm-hmm. And then we also have truck tires were recovered at an abandoned strip pit. 3 tires valued at approximately $2,400 were recovered at an old abandoned strip pit inside the Scott Campbell County line Saturday after reportedly being stolen from a Caryville mining firm. And then, of course, we've got Scott County Sheriff Marion Carson and Chief Deputy Doug Griffith acting upon a tip. And they made the recovery of the 3 new truck tires that were valued at approximately $800 each. And they're really big tires.
Yeah, they're very big tires. All right, and then we got the Hee Haw Singing Star over there. Hee Haw made its appearance in Huntsville, or in Oneida at the old Oneida School Gymnasium. So this is Charles Max Newport and his singing pig Elmo. So that made the front news that day. In the inside the newspaper, we've got a couple articles as well.
All right, got to reshare it here. So It makes me have to, I'll have these set up different next time, but for now, you can find the story, Christy.
Yep.
Let me find which one it is here.
Oh, there we go.
There we go.
So this is high fashion here in 1981, 1982.
So if you just want to go ahead
Yeah.
and read all of those, I'll work on sharing them so I don't have to do it all at the same time here.
Okay.
There we go.
So we've got a picture of the 1981-82 Oneida High Indian cheerleaders. They are representing the latest in high fashion from Center Stage Fashions. We just thought that was kind of interesting because it kind of highlighted what was in fashion there. We've got the Little People news. Am I going too fast?
You're gonna have to bear with me a second because
Yeah.
I've got to pull these up one at a time. Oops. There we go.
Janet, I think the pig was supposed to be the singer in that last article about Hee Haw.
And I'll pull these up. So this was always a fun one last week that a lot of people enjoyed. All the little people. It'd be nice if we had good news like this instead of all the bad going on, the COVID numbers and all that crap you see in the paper now.
Mhm.
With
Got little Miss Robin Allen there at the top. She's celebrating her second birthday. And then to the right of that, we've got a baby girl, Greta Darnell, who is the daughter of Mr. and Mrs. Michael Sexton. Very cute, very cute. And then we've got Russell Odell Brummett on the bottom left there. And then Keith and Diane Norris of Robbins announced the birth of their daughter, Kendra Diane. And we've got Jason Edward Laxton celebrating his first birthday. And Christopher Aaron Posey celebrating his second birthday. So that all happened on this day in 1981.
Yeah, and I know if we stick here with the 80s, I know we're going to be coming up on my birthday if we go back to the back.
Oh, I want to find the one with your birthday. I want to find the one with little Miranda.
Let's see here. We got to follow up just a little bit more on the Hee Haw highlights.
Yeah, there you go.
Let's see there. Let's see.
Yeah, we had all sorts of hee haw fun going on. There we go. So we had all types of entertainers. Again, we had the singing pig, we had a pianist, we had a guitarist, and looks like he's got a harmonica as well. He's pulling double duty. So
some dancers and
yeah, it looks like a good old.
A lot of sponsors too.
Yeah, yeah. All right, what's our next one? I think we got Capitol Hill Head Start graduation was held on that day, as well as Oneida Head Start graduation, and Robbins Head Start graduation was also in the paper this day.
Yep. Let's see here. I'm gonna have all these in one little slide next time.
Yeah.
So that it's a little quicker.
So there's all the cute little guys from Robbins Head Start graduation.
And actually, that was 2 years before I graduated Robbins Head Start.
We gotta see you at some point. We gotta make sure we draw that paper at some point. There's the Oneida Head Start graduating class, little cuties. Yeah.
Yep. So if you're watching and you see someone you know, go back and tag them in the video. And not to be left out here. But we've got the Capitol Hill.
Yeah, there you go. All those little kids in Capitol Hill. So again, if you know anybody that graduated on April 2nd, 1981 from Head Start, go ahead and let them know that we're highlighting them today. And also Scott Foods had ground beef for $1.19 a pound.
Nice.
Complete shopping under one roof. All right.
So
So that was the news from April 2nd, 1981.
yeah, definitely. So just to pull up a few of the comments. Thank you, Carl. We're definitely history buffs here, and we definitely appreciate that. And it's just a lot of fun to look back. I mean, you can spend a lot of time looking back at these papers, and so we get our articles and a lot of our stuff here in the jail from these papers. And so it's nice to be able to go back, see what some of these headlines are. It's actually kind of helping us go through these and catalog these thousands of newspapers that we have, but then also being able to share the funner, lighter side of things. As the mayor talking about the pride and the heritage here in the town. There's so much of that. And, I love looking back, and most of the time, either myself or a lot of people who are watching, once they go to look back at some of these papers, guarantee someone in some of these different stories.
Mm-hmm.
Let's see.
Yeah, so it is kind of interesting, Dee Dee. Like you said, it's funny that they decided to put that overpass funding headlines, but I guess they really wanted to get that picture in. So, moving the body right under the joyous news of getting a new bridge.
Overpass. I guess they're underpass. Sorry, that was awful. Okay, so
I need a set of drums.
Exactly. Yes, Cindy, Charles Max Newport was well known in the community.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of these folks are. So, Dee Dee, we actually have two really cool newspapers, the Independent Herald and the Scott County News, and they're both still going strong today. I know one of them has gone to more of a digital format, but we actually have an exhibit here in the jail for our newspapers. And our newspaper men, because these guys, the ones who wrote for the paper, for both of the papers, actually, they were very well-known members of the community, and you knew you were at an event when you went to that event and you saw the newspaper man there. So that and the sporting events in the area. So we've got a really cool case set up honoring the Scott County News and the Independent Herald here, because they were so important to the area.
Very cool.
And so we're just kind of going through these comments here, and let's see.
Oh yeah, we should do a "Where Are They Now" segment. We could highlight somebody and bring them in here and say, "Okay, we saw you in this article. Now where are you?"
Yeah. You never know. There may be something like that. Coming up soon, because again, we're learning so much about this place, and so much. We learned quite a bit this week, just from the newspaper pool. So, we're looking forward to seeing what's coming up next week. And Jim, Hee Haw was a classic TV show back in the 70s with Buck Owens and Roy Clark. I watched that about every Saturday night at my grandma's. That and Andy Griffith.
Hey, Vicki, thanks for watching.
Yeah. Thank you, Vicki. Thank you, everyone else that has come on and has stuck with us. Let's see, we got a question about the paranormal team. Did Outlaw Paranormal see or hear a lot of activity on their visit? We actually have, I don't know if he's still with us, but we had a gentleman from Outlaw Paranormal over here in the chat room just a little while ago. He was the one that was commenting, saying can't wait to come back. From my understanding, they had a fair amount of activity. I went back and watched some of their lives, and it looked like they were getting quite a few intelligent responses up in the female cell. And we got Jimmy right here from Outlaw Paranormal. Hey, Jimmy, thank you so much for tuning in tonight and for coming out this past weekend. And thanks for confirming the activity.
Yeah. So, and that kind of seems to be the trend as well. It's like I say, I like to say this is a little jail, but it's got a big paranormal punch and a big historical punch, right? It's not just about the paranormal, and but the paranormal is definitely been interesting.
And that's something I always say when I'm talking about the jail, is just that if you're looking for true crime, we got it. If you're looking for history, we got it. And if you're looking for paranormal, we definitely got it. So a little bit of something for everyone. And that's what we're hoping to do as well with, with this podcast as well. So, just to talk briefly about that, there's going to be some weeks like this where we're talking more history. There's going to be some that's going to be more just true crime oriented, where we're going to pick some specific stories and really drill down and talk about that. And then there'll be others where we're talking more about paranormal and have some of those paranormal teams come in. So we're trying to do a little bit of everything with this.
Yeah, absolutely. But we're having a blast. And again, thank you all for coming on. I know it's Valentine's tonight, so thank you for spending it with us. We love you all and really appreciate your time tonight. And if you have any questions, or if you want to recommend a guest or anything about the podcast, just please reach out to us. You can contact us via our website, www.historicscottcojail.com. But yeah, we love you all, and thank you so much for being with us tonight.
Yeah, and I'm going to pull that up because we got the website scrolling down there at the bottom. I removed it whenever we had the video going on there. So we're working out the kinks, and trying to make sure we got everything rolling smooth and all that sort of thing. So yeah, bear with us. We're going to be improving every week.
Yeah. Real quick, Lisa, how can you find out where there are live investigations? If a private team is here and they go live, you'd have to find that out from their website. But most of the time, we'll try to share that if we can. But as far as what we're doing here, all of our schedule is on our website, www.historicscottcojail.com. We have public paranormal investigations. Again, we have our flashlight tours, which will be themed every month. So I think next month is going to be a lot of fun. So y'all be on the lookout for that. But we still have half of February to go. So come out and see our Crimes of Passion flashlight tour if you want to join that. But everything is pretty much on our website, anything you want to know. Or you can contact us. And as Miranda said at the top of the hour, that you can contact us and we can actually custom make a tour for you.
Yeah. And, just to kind of piggyback on her response there. We always, when there's a team here, we always post about the team being here. Some teams go live, some are on Facebook, some are YouTube, some are TikTok. Some don't go live during the investigation and they film for later on and release it at a later date. So we try to put that if they're going live, just so folks can go in and watch it. We don't share it on our page just because of the bandwidth. While they're here we don't want to hog the bandwidth for them. But essentially, yeah, we will let you know of that. And also, anything that's coming up, that sort of thing. We do have a new YouTube channel. It's under Historic Scott County Jail. And so we're going through in the process now, and we're asking the different teams who have come and filmed if they'll just let us know. We're trying to go and tag those videos on our YouTube page. And we've created a full playlist for that, so that if you want to go back and watch any of those videos, you can get a direct link from our YouTube page to their YouTube page as well. So again, a lot going on. Again, thank you all for being here tonight. We love you all. Happy Valentine's Day to everybody out there. Jimmy, thank you for your kind words. And again, just have a great Valentine's Day, everybody. Yeah. And tune in next week at 8 p.m. Eastern time. We will actually have a live guest here in the studio, Randall Burge. For you folks who are here in Scott County, you know him. He was the Person of the Year last year here in Scott County, and has created a great program. He's going to be here sharing his life story and his story of recovery. And so, like I said, if you're from the area, you know Randall Burge. If you're not from the area, you're going to after you watch our show, because he really has a great story. So we're going to be covering him next week here live in the jail. So until then, just keep a watch on our page, because we got some exciting things coming on this upcoming weekend. So until then, we will talk to you soon.
Good night, everybody.
Good night.